Hello, everybody. It is Rollie, and I apologize for being 20 minutes late. For those of you who are catching the replay, then hashtag replay, I'd love to be able to hear from you. And I'm going to, I don't know how serious I'm going to actually be able to be on this call, on this live, because one of the things that happened is that I've been talking for nearly 20 minutes to myself. And couldn't figure out why I'm not seeing anybody popping on, and because at least see people kind of jumping in and jumping out, even if they don't stay, and I'm seeing nothing. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, why am I not seeing anything or noticing anything? And I forgot to hit the live button. So I put my comments in and I tagged myself and I got it going, but I forgot to hit live. So I just talked to myself for the last 20 minutes. So I don't know whether or not I'm actually going to remember what it is that I said. And it's a good thing that it's not actually scripted. And even my face is all red from noticing how embarrassing that is, right? So I'm going to apologize as I laugh, as I think that that's hilarious. So if you can't laugh at yourself, then you're in big trouble. I laugh at myself quite often. So for those of you who don't know who I am or what it is that I'm doing today, so today is Monday Whispers, Monday Whispers chat, and typically Monday Whispers chat is that where Bridging the Gap Wellness is, because Bridging the Gap Wellness is all about being able to create holistic life and finding balance. And every week during Monday Whispers chat, I actually interview an amazing and inspiring woman. And so today I'm not doing that. Today you have me 20 minutes late, having had talked to myself for the last 20 minutes. It's been a week. It's been a very interesting week. But anyway, so for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Rollie Allaire, and I am a holistic trauma coach, a spirit flame keeper, and a soul healer. And I work with women who have experienced trauma. And I use my 18 years experience in psychotherapy, and I combine that using some different holistic approaches. So whether that be chakra work, crystal Reiki, ThetaHealing, Akashic Record readings, and I incorporate the moon medicine. And I incorporate moon medicine, and I use a lot of the medicine wheel. So a lot of the things that I incorporate, or a lot of things that I do, is that I use the medicine wheel because it really helps to be able to create that balance. And so, so one of the things that I wanted to be able to talk about today is what does Thanksgiving mean to you? And so I just rambled on earlier, and like I said, I'll try and remember what it is that I said. But one of the things that I was talking about was what is it that, so historically what it is that I knew Thanksgiving to be is that we had the Pilgrims and the Aboriginal First Nations were here in Canada, and they gathered together as a in celebration of the harvest and the work that they had and everything that they had actually gathered. And so one of the things that I question now, though, is because of the history that I've learned about First Nations, whether or not they really did celebrate, whether or not they really did gather, and whether or not they really did come together to do this, because of all the things that I have learned in the last 10, 12 years about the history of First Nations people and Métis people, and whether or not it really truly did happen the way that the history books had shared. Because a lot of the things that the history books when I was growing up shared were not the same things. that I have learned now, and even still, like, I know that there's been a little bit more talk about what it is, but I still don't know that it actually shows everything in there as well. So, hi Sandra, how are you? Happy Thanksgiving. So one of the reasons why I picked what does Thanksgiving mean to you as a topic for today is because for those of you who follow me that live in Canada, this is a Canadian holiday. And so this is our Thanksgiving. And the reason why we celebrate Thanksgiving now in terms of the harvest and being able to connect is that we have our harvest starts, thank you, our harvest starts a lot sooner than it does in southern parts of so down into the US, where they don't celebrate Thanksgiving until November. But that's because their season, physical season, really doesn't change much until later on into the season. Whereas for us in Northern Ontario, we are, in some parts we've already had snow, unless you're out west, apparently they have lots of snow. But like the weather is colder, the trees have fallen down, or like the leaves are falling down off the tree. And actually the trees are definitely falling down. We've had some pretty nasty windstorms, so literally our trees have fallen down, but that's not what I meant to say. And so for people like Sandra, who lives 3 hours north of us, I'm sure that they have even colder weather than we're having right now. So because they typically do. And that's my hometown. So I'm originally from Timmins. Born, but then when I was about 11, I moved here. So, which is a little further south, so it's a little bit warmer. But they have, but one of the things is that change of the seasons. And so, like I said, being able to gather originally, from what I understand, is that Thanksgiving meant being able to gather with family, being able to gather with friends, and being able to celebrate the harvest and being able to bring in the new things and the fruits and the vegetables and all the kinds of things that were coming. And so, so what Thanksgiving means to me now is a time when we actually get to gather with family and celebrate. And not even necessarily celebrate. We don't necessarily celebrate in our family. Celebrate Thanksgiving, we gather, right? So it's about being able to gather and sharing thanks and sharing food. And we don't always just do that for Thanksgiving. We actually gather different times of the year without it being a holiday. But particularly we gather and just being able to spend time with each other and being able to do things with each other. And celebrating, like we obviously don't harvest, we don't have, we're not farming community. Us personally are not farming. Where I live is very much a farming community, but that's not what it is that I do. I live in town in this rural area. And so, but we gather to be able to support each other and to spend time with each other and to do things with each other. And so that is what it is that we do, and that's the reason why we celebrate Thanksgiving. And so what about you, Sandra? Like what does Thanksgiving mean to you? So I know that for some people Thanksgiving has meant that they actually really do give thanks. They actually bring to the table all the celebrations. That is not something that we've done traditionally as our family. So like I said, we gather so that we can actually spend time together and we share a meal together. And so whether we actually say that we're actually giving thanks, maybe some family members, but they don't openly say that. So for those of you who actually follow me on Facebook, know that I actually posted a picture of all the guys that are actually sitting in the living room all on their phone, and the joke is that they're actually Facebooking each other waiting for dessert, while my sister and my mom and my nieces were doing the dishes. And so we were all I was really exhausted. I was really tired. That was on Saturday, and so that was, I had worked Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so I don't typically work Friday, Saturday, and most of Sunday. So I was just tired. I just wanted to go to sleep. So I was sitting at the table hanging out with my great nephew, and we were doing our own thing. And but it's about being able to have fun together and have that parts of things. And so one of the reasons why, so other than it being Thanksgiving, one of the reasons, because I could have still chosen any other topic, but one of the reasons why I chose the Thanksgiving topic is because right now, starting at the beginning of October, I started the gratitude challenge. And so that has been going really well. Hearing some amazing responses in terms of things that we're actually grateful for. And so that's just really, that is really why I actually decided that I actually wanted to know, what are people's traditions? What are some of the things that they actually do? So Sandra says, don't really like the holidays anymore. Boys live too far. But yep, my friend came from Sudbury for 4 days and we had a ball, and she's a childhood friend. Oh, beautiful. That's an amazing thing to be able to do, right? So it is, and it's really difficult when our families are separated, right? So when our families are separated and going off and doing their own thing, I'm fortunate that both my boys have moved back home, because that was really challenging. That was really difficult because they were still doing their own thing. They still came for family gatherings, but it was still really tough to not have them around. And so both of my boys have moved back home, and they're both home right now. And so, as I've got my little wings, because one of the things that I shared when I was actually not on live, while I was talking to myself apparently, is that my hair is like my hair is always, there's always something about my hair, but right now my hair is like all frizzy, curly, because I became a drowned rat while I was actually waiting for my aunt and my niece, my cousin to come and meet me. So I was standing outside waiting for them to show up, and so I was completely drenched, completely soaked, because I didn't think it was going to take them as long as it did from the time that they had said that they had left the holidays. And so, I mean, left the highway, and so I was standing there to make sure that they could actually get found in. But I was completely drenched by the time that they actually got there. I really truly looked like a drowned rat. And so, one of the things that I'm extremely grateful for today is having had the time to be able to spend with my aunt and my cousin. And so, my uncle passed away. It'll actually be it's been a while. So December, the end of December. And so it's been, I don't get to see my family very often, my extended family very often. And oftentimes when I do get to see them, it's because of a funeral. And so I haven't seen my aunt since the funeral, since her husband passed away. And so it was actually really nice. She was actually driving through to North Bay from Timmins. And so when she had posted online saying that she was heading to North Bay, it was like, hey, you should stop in at our place. So she did. So we got to surprise my mom. And so we got to spend some time with her. And really looking forward to some actual planned time with them on Friday. They're actually going to come back up and we're going to have lunch together. And so really looking forward to that. But it's that, and so that's one of the things today that I'm extremely grateful for. I'm grateful for having had the opportunity to be able to spend time with them. I'm grateful for having been able to adjust my schedule, and my friend Nikki, who I was supposed to meet up with at 3:30, was amazing at being able to say, like, no, just spend time with your aunt and I'll catch up with you after. Yeah, it's really hard during the holidays, isn't it, Sandra? So it's really hard when we lose our loved ones, when we lose the people that we cherish. It's always like, well, it'll get better, time will pass. And there's still part of you that will always miss them, and it doesn't matter how long that it's actually been. Hi, Gord. And so it's just being able to spend time with them, as much time with our family. And that's why I said, like, we don't necessarily celebrate Thanksgiving in the sense that it's Thanksgiving, other than we spend time to be able to, we actually get to gather and spend time with each other. And so being grateful for your friends, that is so important for us to be able to have, especially when our family is distanced, when our family is, when we are apart, when whether or not we are, we have good relations with our families or not. It all kind of depends, right? So like our families have been, our family has been up and down in terms of relationships, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it isn't. We have, there are unfortunately some people in our family that we have no contact with at all, and that's just really sad. And it's sad that we do that and we distance each other. Sometimes we need to. So from a using a psychotherapy brain, is that sometimes we need to distance ourselves from certain family members, and because they're not healthy for us, and that we need to do different things to be able to make sure that we are healthy. Doesn't mean that we don't miss them, right? So, and sometimes they're the ones that disconnect. So, and rest is down. I'm assuming you mean the rest of your family's down south. But it's just being able to have that time with each other and spending time with each other. Yes, sometimes we do. Right? So just being able to spend time with each other is really important to me, and sometimes it means having to do things differently and having to adjust. So this year, for example, things had changed. We were supposed to do Thanksgiving dinner on Monday today, but then things had changed and plans had changed, and they were doing it on Saturday, and I was tired and I didn't necessarily feel like really going, and I didn't really know whether or not I was actually really going to go or not, because I had to work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and so I wasn't really sure if that was something that I was actually going to do. And so I get a message from my dad that says, please, can you? And so for those of you who know my dad, my dad's not the kind of person who you're going to get the I love yous from, or the like I miss you, or please come, that kind of thing. That's not typically what it is that I actually hear from my dad, or that any of us hear from my dad, except for in the last, I'm gonna say probably, I don't think it's been a full year, maybe it has, but at least the last 8 months is that we're getting a lot more different feedback from my dad in terms of some of the things. Hey, Mimi. And we do, you're right, Sandra, we do need to look after ourselves first, and sometimes being able to set limits around the people that are actually in our lives is like really, really important. And so it's unfortunate sometimes though, because like you should be able to be connected to your family, but sometimes we can't. Sometimes we really do need to distance ourselves. But with my dad, one of the things that he has been doing more so lately is that when he texts, he actually ends the call with I love you. Before I leave the house, he will actually say I love you. And so it's just, it's nice. It's really nice. But at the same time, it's kind of weird. It's like, huh, what's going on with my dad? But my dad's not been well for the last few years, and so I don't know what has changed specifically in the last little bit, but it has been that he's been trying to spend more time with us. He wants to spend more time. He's actually messaging us or calling, kind of depends on what it is, but he's been actually texting, which is actually kind of cool. And then we had, and it's actually good for his brain to be able to get the words and things out. So being able to have to type and stuff, because it was a year ago in June that my dad had a stroke. And so he will tell you that he did not have a stroke because he doesn't remember having a stroke. But it actually affected his cognitive functions. And so his memory a lot of times, so like when dad's not well, then his memory kind of diverts back to some of the challenges and stuff that he's had with having the stroke, speech impediments, that kind of thing. And so that is, so we know that when my dad's not well, it doesn't mean necessarily that he's having a stroke again. But that was his signs and symptoms, is that the speech was, he was having difficulty with speech, having difficulty finding his words and that kind of thing. So, but he will actually tell you. So whenever, because I go to all of his medical appointments with him, and so when I mention to a new doctor, or a new professional that we have to deal with, and I'll say, well, and dad had his stroke a year ago, in June, and he'll say, I don't remember having a stroke, and that is this big thing. But it's really nice to have those opportunities to be able to spend. And Sandra, I'm sure that that's one of the things that you probably miss, is that time of being able to spend with your dad. And so I know that I take in as much time as I possibly can with my dad, and I am fortunate. I'm more fortunate, I think that I'm more fortunate than my sisters, because I get to attend all of his medical appointments with him. I get to go on road trips with him, as much as that is long and is exhausting at times, but we travel. So tomorrow, for example, we leave tomorrow morning around 7:30 to be able to head down for a medical appointment, spend the day doing whatever tests and assessments that need to be done, and then we get to drive back home again. So not so great in the winter months. Not my favorite thing to do. I don't mind traveling in the winter, but in the last few years, our roads have been horrible. So, but I'm extremely grateful for that time that I actually get to spend with him. One of the other things that I am extremely grateful for is being able to connect with different clients, and having expanded my my service to virtual, and being able to connect with people differently and online, and being able to share the things that I'm able to teach. Like I said, I've had 18 years experience, so being able to share my knowledge virtually allows me to be able to help more people, and I really like that. And so that makes a huge difference for me anyway. It makes a huge difference for me. And so I like that, and I like being able to do that. So so that is something else that I'm extremely grateful for. One of the things that I'm grateful for is technology, even though that is my definitely my vice. And so that is, but again, that is where I am looking to hire the right people to be able to help me with the connections. So for example, Nikki Mull has actually restructured my website, so really excited that she was able to do that for me, and that and we've actually continued on, we're actually continuing on a partnership, so really super excited about that. And so like lots of things to be grateful for. And sometimes when we look at things, we kind of forget especially when things are bad, right? So it's so easy to be able to stick on and focus on all the things that are bad, and all the things that aren't great, all the things that are not helpful. And so, but just being able to tap in and really connect with the things that we are actually grateful for. And so, yeah, so this conversation, take two, really kind of went in a completely different direction than it was when I was actually having the original conversation with myself. But so, because like I said, for those of you who are just catching me right now, is that I had a full conversation with myself for about 20 minutes before I realized that, hey, I didn't hit the live button. And so I'm talking to myself. And so I don't know why I didn't check to see the little live indicator in the corner, but I didn't. And so I'm having a conversation with myself. So if you're catching the replay though, I'd love to be able to know, what does Thanksgiving mean to you? What does it mean to you to be grateful? If you would like to be able to join our 30-day challenge, even though we are in day 8, I'd love to be able to still have you join us. And so the link is in the comments. And so just join our group, and you will get the daily prompts of what it is that you are thankful for. And so in a little bit, not right away, I'm not sure exactly what time or when, but I'm going to hop back on because I still have to do my daily prompt for today on what is for the 30-day gratitude challenge. So I'm going to be doing that on my personal page. And so yeah, so if you are catching this on the replay, I'd love to be able to hear back from you. And let me know what it is that you are grateful for. And so one of the things that I'm going to do is that I have I'm going to, as an appreciation to all of my clients and to everybody who's watching, is that I am going to put in a discount code that allows you to be able to get 10% off of anything that I actually offer. And so I'm going to put that in the comments. And so it is only valid until the 14th of October, but I will put the discount code in there. And like I said, for anything that I offer, you can get 10% off. And that is, so if you decide that you're actually going to do one of the packages, however, is that the discount code only works on, and it's a payment unless it's a paid in full. But if it's a, if you're doing a payment plan to one of the packages, then it's the 10% off of the first payment. So just so that you know that it's not an ongoing 10%. And so on that note, I will talk to you later. Bye for now.